Welcome to Dice Tower Live.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel and welcome to the best of 2018 lists that I'll be going through over the next 2 weeks or so. Today we're going to be talking about my top 10 expansions. So we're going to be taking a look at these, a couple things before we jump into this. First of all, like I said, I'll be going through one of these each day. I think tomorrow is top 10 family games and Friday is top 10 small games. Tomorrow also we'll be doing a big 3 top 10 list. Me, Sam, and Z will be talking about our top 10 experiences of 2018. So you get double live stuff tomorrow. Because this is live, I will be going back and forth with you guys. If you have comments and stuff, I might talk about these. Secondly, as I will say with all the lists, I haven't played every game that's come out over the course of the year. And in fact, I feel like my expansion delinquency is a little bit more like this year. I probably played 500 games. I probably played 40 expansions or what have you. But I feel like there's a couple expansions that I haven't played that I might like. And in fact, there's a lot of expansions that I like that may not have made the list. But I'm telling you what, the top expansion on this list, I don't see how they could be displaced. That's how good they are. So who crushed my hat? It was the Lizard, man. As a side note, if I was making top 10 movies of the year, it would be hard for me to say anything about Avengers Infinity War and how amazing that is. But oh my goodness, the Spider-Verse movie was phenomenal. Okay, so here we go with the expansions, the top 10 expansions. Again, if an expansion is not in this list, it still can be good. These are just my favorites. So let's start with, well, actually, I guess I should pull out my list myself so I know what I'm talking about. Oh, I don't have this list in front of me. Well, whatever. I know what they are for most part. So let's look at number 10. Number 10 is Vikings Gone Wild, Master of the Elements. Now, Vikings Gone Wild, Master of the Elements is, I think, the 4th expansion for Vikings Gone Wild. Now, Vikings Gone Wild is a deck builder that I like a lot. Doesn't seem to get a lot of mainstream love, but it is a fantastic expansion. So in this, it added some elements to the game. So we have, fire and earth and stuff, and adding those elements was a cool idea. You now can get tokens for those and use those. But even more importantly, it kind of gave you an avatar. So you could now be Thor or Ragnar or Grendel, and it would give you special abilities and things that you could do, which I really liked. This is when I play with the expansions for Vikings Gone Wild, this is one that I will try to always use. I think you could even use this one for people who are playing for the first time. There's, of the expansions, I don't know that I would play the co-op one very often, and the team one is good, but this one, Master of the Elements, was the best expansion for Vikings Gone Wild so far. So, if you never played Vikings Gone Wild, also, it's a fantastic game. So the audio is a little hot, people are saying. No worries, I can turn it down. That's why we do things live. All right. Now it won't be so hot. Okay. So at the end, you can ask me why so-and-so, such and such a game expansion is not in the list, because I see some people talking about that already, and I can explain. All right, so let's jump to number 9. Now, number 9 is a very small expansion, but I feel like it was a really good one. It was released, I guess, at the same time as the base game, and that is an expansion for Wildlands, and that is Wildlands: The Unquiet Dead. Now, I don't have a whole lot of pictures to show you here, so let's show the big picture of the actual Unquiet Dead. Now, what's interesting about this faction is there's only 4 of them, as opposed to the 5 that come in the factions in the base game. But the cards that come with the Unquiet Dead will work with any of these, well, not any, but like with half of them. So it's a whole lot easier to activate the Unquiet Dead, but then it's harder for them to pick up gems. They also can be used as a kind of just a variant where everyone can play, where when your characters die, an Unquiet Dead guy revives in their spot, and you can use him to attack other players. That's super fun. Both ways, this is a small little expansion for a really good game. Came out at the same time. I like it a lot. That is Wildlands. All right, number 8. Well, let's take a look at this expansion. This is one that I have been playing a lot lately, and that is Beasts of Balance Battles. So Beast of Balance is an interesting game. When Beast of Balance came out, it's just basically a stacking game, and you stack these things there, and you try not to make them fall over. Hooks up with your phone and or iPad. Well, that's cool. But it wasn't really a game necessarily, other than you just tried to score the highest score. What Beast of Balance Battle does is it makes it a game. It gives you more stuff. You can buy more of these. More of these guys came out. But also, there are now cards and things, and essentially you are adding them to this, attacking the other person's creatures. It made it into a 2 or 3 player game. So when you turn on the screen, you'll see, you'll have your different groups, and it will show your animals and your groups, and you'll play cards and do things at each other. And that is a really entertaining a way to go after each other. So it's a lot of fun. Beast of Balance was already a lot of fun for me to play with my kids and play with other people. Adding in a way to now fight each other, thumbs up for me. Beast of Battles, Balance, Battles. Beast of Battles, Balance? Beast of Balance. Okay, anyway, number 7. Number 7 is another expansion that I've been playing a lot lately, and that is the newest expansion for Dominion, Renaissance. Now, Dominion and me have had their sort of turbulent love affair when it comes to expansions and stuff. The first expansion I was super pumped about playing. Now I play Intrigue every once in a while. Then Seaside was like, what? And then Prosperity, what? Oh, then there was Alchemy. But then Prosperity, what? And then they got okay. And they were good, but they were not like blowing my mind out. And the last one, Nocturne, I wasn't interested in at all. But then Renaissance came out, and it adds a couple cool things. First of all, added villagers. Villagers brings these little coins, which were already in the game, and you could gain these coins and use them as villagers, and you would store them, and then you can use them as actions in the future. And all these cards are really simple. Gain a card that costs up to 4. If it's a treasure, +1 villager. All right, flip the slide. A lot of different normal size cards in this, but it even had some neat things like this. Discard your hand and then draw 7 cards. That's a pretty neat action. But will it work? Will it be a better action? I don't know, but that's the kind of things I like. Ducket, one of my favorite cards in the game. Coffers, which were the same thing as coins in previous sets, where you would get these coins and you can save them from turn to turn. And this also came with treasures and projects. Projects are amazing. A project you could put, something you could buy, and that gave you a special ability. And I find myself like having this renewed love for Dominion. Renaissance just really did well this year for Dominion. Dominion is still one of my favorite deck builders, and this one added a lot to it. So that is my number 7 expansion. Hey, we're almost halfway through the list. I should warn you that these top 10 lists will probably move a little faster than my top 100 did. All right, number 6 expansion. Let's take a look. It is Marvel Legendary World War Hulk. Now, there's another deck building game and another expansion for a deck building game, but the reason this one was so interesting to me was a couple things. First of all, Hulk. Come on now. Now, the Marvel Legendary expansions, I've liked most of them. Some of them I've loved. This one I can clearly now say is my favorite of the lot. It comes with Hulk and Red Hulk, but the cards have double sides. So you can put out a normal character and they can increase and become a better character. It uses my favorite storyline, World War Hulk and Planet Hulk. Those are great storylines in the comics. It has, go back a slide, it has the Illuminati as a bad guy. Oh, I hate these guys. Look at them. Look at them. They're so cocky. They think they know everything. They sent Hulk into space, but he came back and got them all. Hulk is the true hero, I think. But anyhow, lots of cool people. You got Hulk and She-Hulk and Red Hulk and Hulk's son, Scar, and all that stuff. But it's a cool set. It's a big set, a ton of cards, a lot of neat things. It really, I thought, added some life to the Legendary set. So that is my number 6. All right. Now we're getting to some these were all good expansions, but we're coming up on some amazing expansions. Number 5 is an expansion for one of my favorite games. This just came out recently, and that is Terraforming Mars Colonies. Now, Terraforming Mars has had a lot of expansions. Terraforming Mars Colonies is the 4th expansion for it. Terraforming Mars Colonies is an expansion that I will play. If you've already played the game before, then we're using this expansion. Essentially, it has these colonies, and on them there's a colony bonus. So on your turn, you can spend an action to now put a colony out on one of these planets. And when you do so, you'll get some sort of reward for doing that. And then people can send trade ships out to the colonies. And when they do so, you get a bonus and they'll get a bonus. There's going to be a marker here moving up. So they might be here at 3. They want to come out here to get 3 floaters. Floaters, which, by the way, were introduced in Saturn. But you'll get a floater. And that can really make cards, which they added a lot of cool cards to combo with these, work really well. And every game's going to be different because there's going to be different colonies that are out there. So here's some more colonies to look at. We have, this one here gives the amoebas or bacteria. That one gives energy. This one lets you build oceans. And this one here gives you steel production. These are great. It adds a little bit of length to the game, but since the previous expansion had subtracted length, I didn't mind. Like I said, colonies just gives you more options and more things to do. And I really like colonies a lot, which is why it's my number 5. Alrighty, that was a good expansion, but they only get better from here on out. Let's take a look at number 4. Number 4 is Unlock. You're like, what? It's not an expansion. Well, okay, maybe. I consider these expansions. I can't keep saying Unlock games are my favorite or what have you, Exit. But of all the new escape room type games that came out this year, Unlock Adventures of Oz is my favorite, and that's about the best picture I can show you because other than that, I'll spoil stuff. This one had a good storyline to it. The Wizard of Oz. It had some really fun things. You built a map. You were looking for hidden objects in this one more than other ones. You each played a character, and you had an alternate goal that you had to accomplish besides doing the main thing. This was just a really entertaining Unlock game. I was very happy with this one, so it's my favorite of these that came out this year. So my number 4 expansion, Wizard of Oz for Unlock. All right, 3 expansions left. Maybe you might have guessed them based on how much I gushed over all 3 of these this year. All 3 expansions here, my final ones, are expansions I consider you must have. If you have the base game, you must have these expansions. So number 3 is for a game I've already talked about with an expansion no, it's not. Sorry. Number 3 is for a game that I just taught at PAX Unplugged. Number 3 is Monsters and Minions expansion for Role Player. Now, I think Role Player is a good game. When a Role Player came out, I gave it a very positive review. But as time went by, my positive review rose. I liked it more and more and more. And then when this expansion came out, woo! So what does it add? It adds monsters. All right. So there's now monsters that you can fight. These are giant people that you'll fight at the end of the game, a giant troll or a dragon, and you kind of save up over the course of the game. But as the game goes by, you'll fight smaller monsters. This is like side quest that you can do, and it just gives you more options. Also, those aren't really good pictures there. This is from the Kickstarter page, but it adds more dice. Like different kinds of dice. Some combat dice, which are really cool. And then clear dice that go from, they're called boost dice, and they go from 3 to 8 instead of 1 to 6. Oh, they're great, but they don't satisfy any color requirements. But having them in and then having, experience that you can get and use on things, new classes, ways to spend experience, this is just great. It really feels like it rounded out the game to the point where when I play without it, I'm like, I like this game, but it feels like it's missing something. I know what it's missing. It's missing this expansion. This is just a great game, and if you own Role Player, you shouldn't even hesitate to go out and get Monsters and Minions. It is that good of an expansion. And again, I've taught the game to people for the first time ever with this expansion, and it worked well. If you played before, get it, blah, blah, blah. It's amazing. All right. Number 2. Well, I've already kind of gave away number 2, is another expansion. This is the only one on my top 10 list where I have 2 expansions for the same game. But there's another one that I will not play without, just flat out refuse to play without, and that is Prelude for Terraforming Mars. Now, what does Prelude for Terraforming Mars do? At the beginning of the game, you're going to draw some cards, some Prelude cards, and there's also some new corporations, but some Prelude cards, and you're going to pick 3 of these cards, and they're just basically going to give you starting bonuses. So, for example, here, this one gives your energy production 3. This one here gives your steel production by 1 and your heat production by 2. This one your plant production by 1, and you draw 3 cards. But you pick which of these that you start with. They're going to pick how you start and go over the course of this game. And then you also have a corporation that gives you a special power. This actually shaves about 15 minutes off the time of the game. I told Bonagor he should have put minus 15 on the box, but it is an amazing addition to the game, to the point where I mean, if you've never played before, I'm teaching you with this. If you've played before, I refuse to play without this. I mean, I guess if I showed up at your house and you didn't have the expansion, I'd play it, but good night. Prelude is just that good. And it's like just a minor thing. It just gives you kind of a different start, kind of a head start into the game, but I like it. And so that is Terraforming Mars Prelude. All right, my number 1 expansion. You know, some people might think that my number 1 was easy, but I really toyed with the idea of putting Prelude at number 1, but I really couldn't, because my number 1 expansion by a light year was the Rise of Fenris for Scythe. Now, this was a campaign expansion, and I liked the last 2 expansions for Scythe. With the 2 new factions and the blimps and stuff. Now, I'm not showing you much of the expansion. This is just, you open the box, you see more boxes, and you'll go through these and open them up, and there's cool stuff in them. If you open my copy, I guess you'll get spoiled for everything. But the Scythe, the Rise of Fenris, is an 8-campaign game. Now, normally I'm a little tired of campaigns, right? They seem like they take forever. But this one introduced new mechanisms that I will never play without. It introduced new stuff that I will gladly add to my set in general, and gives you a whole lot of options. All that, plus playing through the campaign, was that much fun. It was a fantastic experience. It was entertaining to go through and do really cool things and see the changes in the game. It was quicker than I thought, and when it was done, I wanted to keep playing with this new stuff that was added. You got a ton of content in this expansion, more than the other expansions put together, and it was just a fantastic, terrific go-through thing here. And so that's Scythe, the Rise of Fenris, easily my favorite expansion. All right, let's take some time here and talk about some stuff that didn't make the thing. So you can talk about, ask me why I didn't pick an expansion. One I've noticed people asking about is the Root expansion. I've only watched it played with one of the new factions and have not played with the new factions yet. I'm sure the Root expansion is very, very good. Everyone has told me it's good, but I couldn't put it on my list yet because I have not played the whole thing through. What other ones are people asking? Where is Root and Kemet? I haven't played the Kemet expansion yet either. Sam has, so it might have made his top 100 there. Hall of Heroes and Fields of Fame for Raiders of the North Sea. I think those are expansions from last year, because I certainly played them earlier. No Zombicide Green Horde expansion, for shame. I'm just not a huge Zombicide Green Horde fan itself. So, let's see here. Apocalypse. Dude, I don't know what that means. Apocalypse is an expansion for... you have to give me the whole game here. But yeah, so obviously... Seven Wonders Armada was a very good expansion. I liked it. It added new stuff to the game. Just didn't crack my top 10. The Onitama expansion was fine, but didn't crack my top 10. The Rising Sun expansions, I figured that I liked them, but I could play the game without them easily, so they didn't make my top 10. Cavern of Forgotten Folks is technically a 2019 release, and haven't played it either anyway. Clank in Space, Apocalypse. That's what it is, right. Clank in Space, that's a good expansion, and I think it changes the game a lot, but that one, alas, did not make my top 10. Neither did the new Clank one, but both of those were good expansions. Again, not making the top 10 doesn't mean I don't like something. Could I list the top 100 expansions for 2018? I don't think so. Probably not. Why no Talisman expansion? I don't really like Talisman, so I don't think an expansion. Feast for Odin, that's another 2019 one. I know for sure that both of these games, their release dates are January and February for the Feast for Odin and the Cavern expansion. So, Totally Liquid expansion for Dinosaur Island. Yes, I haven't played with that one yet, and that's another one that looks really good. Let's see here. Pursuit of Happy Community. That was a decent expansion, but it wasn't so much that it made my top 10. Why is Jason all light now? Was he kidnapped? I don't understand that question at all. Okay. Let's see. Mansion Madness. I haven't played any of the new expansions for Mansion Madness, and the Eldritch Horror expansions, while I like them, did not make the top 10. The Cry Havoc expansion was not this year. It was last year. Could I do a top 100 expansions of all time? I've already done that. I've gone through that on Board Game Breakfast, doing it a little bit at a time. I'll redo that in the coming year for sure. Let's see. Quartermaster General expansion. Well, I probably would have to like Quartermaster General first. Sorry. Yeah, kind of a rule for me. If I'm going to put an expansion on my top 10 list, there's going to have to, it's going to be one I have to enjoy also. Dice Masters. Yeah, Dice Masters had some decent expansions that came out this year, but again, none of them that made my top 10. Oh, Jason's top 10 of the year was mostly late games, is what you meant? Sure. I thought the Raiders of the North Sea expansions came out last year. If they did come out this year, they would definitely be in my top 10. I don't know if I'd group them all together because separating them would be pretty hard. Is every deck of Keyforge considered an expansion? No. Why do I not like Talisman? I don't know. I like choices in a game, and Talisman, the choice is essentially roll die and pick go right or left. Other than that, the game just plays you. What about the Chronicles of Crime app expansion? No, I don't really consider it. I don't know. That doesn't feel like an expansion. I know that there's a Noir expansion, another expansion, but I haven't got those yet. Any other expansions I wanted to play but didn't get a chance to play yet? Yeah, I haven't played the expansion for Altiplano, which I thought might make the list, and Dinosaur Island, of course. Those are the two that I want to get to the table. Root, I want to get to the table too. So I guess those are the big three that I think would have a serious shot at contention. Oh, I guess Kemet Seth too. So that's 4. Adrenaline expansion. That I haven't played because that is in our palette of stuff coming from Essen, and that hasn't shown up yet. So I haven't heard a lot about that expansion either. I mean, it kind of like just dropped off the face of the planet. The Werewords expansion, Werewords Deluxe, that's not an expansion. Werewords Deluxe is just a deluxe version of Werewords. What about the Sagrada expansion? It might be great. I don't know. I didn't even look at it at first because it said 5 to 6 player expansion, and I didn't want to play with 5 to 6 players. I heard it adds other things. I like Sagrada, but I didn't love it. I just thought it was fine. So I'm not like in a hurry to get around to playing it. Expansion for Gizmos, maybe. I'm sure there will one come out eventually. Is Azul Stained Glass of Sintra a pseudo expansion? No, it's a second edition. I don't consider that an expansion at all. Any live plays next week? I don't think so. Next week is Christmas, so we are actually going to take Christmas off. Let's see here. Blah, 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 blah. What games from this year do you think will get an expansion next year that really need one or would benefit from one? I don't know. I mean, I guess I do sit around and say, ooh, I wonder what this game would be like if it had an expansion. But right now, I'm just kind of happy with games as it is. And I'll look forward to seeing stuff come out, but I'm not like hunting for expansions or not. The Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea expansion. That was my number 11, actually, on the list that I made. It was very close to making it on. I liked the new stuff that it added a lot. Ascension, Renaissance? No, Ascensions was Deliverance. That was a very good expansion and also was one I considered to put in the top 10. According to Dice Tower News, the Raiders expansions were released January 17th. Well, there you go. You can consider them to be like number 9 then. I like those expansions a lot. Vast expansion. Oh, no, those definitely came out last year, didn't they? Or if they came out this year, they were good, but not good enough to make my expansion anyway. Seventh Continent expansion is coming next year. Looking for that. Brass Birmingham is not an expansion. It is just another edition of the same game. Was that a Winter Long Night 2018? Even if it was, that wouldn't have made my top 10. Amber Mines was a good expansion for Near and Far. That was one I considered. Just didn't hit my top 10. I want to buy my first board game. Say you recommend a game to buy right now. I would have to know you better to know, but since I don't know you at all, I'll go with Role Player, since I saw you mention Talisman. Paper Tales Beyond the Gate. You know, I didn't play that one. That one was all Z. I'll have to get it. Was the Splendor expansion 2018? Who cares? It wasn't good enough to make the top 10 at all. So, how many expansions will come out for the new Arkham Horror? a minimum of 7 for sure. That will definitely happen because this is Fantasy Flight and I can't see them changing their MO. Would I consider the Rising Sun Kickstarter extra expansions? Probably. Mostly I look at stuff that you can buy later on. So there you have it. All right. Well, that's it. That's my top 10 expansions for 2018. So tell me what you think in the comments for sure. What are your expansions? What did I miss? What should I still go out there and play? I'll be back tomorrow with my top 10 family games of 2018. That'll be tomorrow, I think, at 1 o'clock, just like today's was. And at 2 o'clock, we'll be doing our top 10 gaming experiences of 2018, where we talk about memorable gaming moments that were fantastic for us. It's a fun list. I don't know why. I'm assuming it is. I made it my 10, and I'm excited about it. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the Dice Tower Live Best of 2018.